Assalamu alaikum dear students. I hope you all are fine and have done with your homeworks. This is our novel and let's see the contents. We have done with chapter 1, 2, 3 and 4. Today we are going to start our chapter number 5. But before starting our chapter number 5, let's have a quick recap review of chapter number 4, Is the Prince Mad, which we read in our previous lecture on page number 16. Chapter number 4 on page number 16, Is the Prince Mad? What we read in this chapter was, in this chapter number 4, we read how sad the king was and thinking about the coronation of the young mad prince. He ordered here Lord Hertford, but Hertford reminded him that coronation and arrangements for that is all Lord Norfolk's job, but he was in prison. And as soon as the king heard about Norfolk, he became very angry and ordered to cut off his head. Tom, who was listening all that conversation, felt very sorry about the poor prisoner, Lord Norfolk. Later, Hertford was discussing the situation with his friend Lord St. John. St. John and Lord Hertford are good friends, so they were discussing how the king is very nervous and very sad about the boy, or Hertford thought that this all situation was due to the stress Lord Hertford was feeling because he is the uncle of the prince, and Lord Hertford was still thinking that the boy prince has gone mad and it was due to load of studies. And how Tom acted weirdly at the dinner table during the dinner, or everyone pretended like they weren't looking at him. After that, we saw and read about the great seal which was missing, and everyone was searching for it. King said that he gave the seal to the prince, but prince told him that he knew nothing about the seal. So it was a mystery where the seal has gone. Now we are going to start our chapter number 5. It's on page number 21. Chapter number 5, page number 21, The Pauper and the Prince. Meet again. Let the boy go. Meanwhile, while Tom Canty was cracking nuts, here Tom Canty in prince's disguise was sitting in the palace and cracking nuts, but John Canty was pulling Prince Edward, who was in the disguise of Tom. His father, John Canty, was pulling Prince Edward along. The prince was shouting as loudly as he could. He hoped that somebody would hear him and help him to escape from this terrible man. Bad, cruel. Terrible means bad, cruel man. He fought against John Canty until Canty lifted his great stick above his head. Let the boy go, cried a voice suddenly. An old man stepped forward and knocked Canty's hand away. You mustn't hurt him. I won't allow it. John Canty did not answer. He just lifted his stick again and hit the old man on the head. The old man fell to the ground and lay without moving. John Canty did not even look at him. He just walked faster, pulling the prince behind him. Poor Tom is mad. Here, at last they came to a narrow, dirty street. It was Fish Street, which was Tom's home. Canty pushed the prince up some broken stairs and into a small, dark room. Dirty straw covered the floor. Canty's wife and daughter sat in the straw like animals. In a corner stood Canty's mother. She had long, dirty grey hair and a hard, cruel face. "Here's the boy," said Canty. "Now listen to this." He shook the prince hard. "Let's have some fun. What's your name, boy? Speak now, before I break you into little pieces." Prince Edward stood up very straight. "I have told you before, and I will tell you again. I am Prince Edward," he said proudly. "I am the son of the King Henry the Eighth of England. One day I shall be king, and when I am, I will punish you." The old woman stared in surprise, then she burst out laughing. But Mrs. Canty began to cry. "Poor Tom. He is mad." She went towards the prince and took him in her arms kindly. "My poor boy," she whispered. "Speak slowly, lightly." The prince spoke gently to her. "Your son is safe and well," he said. "He is in the palace. Just take me there and you will see him. And my father the king will reward you. He will make you rich." Mrs. Canty shook her head. "The king, your father? Poor Tom. What are you saying? Don't you know me, my dear?" "Madam, I have never seen you before." Mrs. Canty covered her face with her hands and cried like a child. Her daughters came up to her and put their arms around her. "Don't cry, mother," they said gently. "Tom will be well again soon." "Enough of this nonsense," shouted Canty, Tom's father. "Perhaps a beating will help the boy to remember." He picked up his stick and began to beat the prince. "Run for your life." At last John Canty's arms were tired. He threw down his stick and went to sleep. The prince crawled into a corner and lay down on the dirty straw. Mrs. Canty covered him with some old rags. Tom was right, he thought. His mother and sisters are kind, but the father? At last, John Canty's arms were tired. He threw down his stick and went to sleep. The prince crawled into a corner and lay down on the dirty straw. Mrs. Canty covered him with some old rags. Tom was right, he thought. His mother and sisters are kind, but the father and grandmother are wicked, bad, cruel. He fell asleep. But Mrs. Canty could not sleep. This boy looked like her son, but she was not sure about him. Late that night there was a loud knock at the door. "Canty, you knocked a man down last night." "What if I did?" "It was Father Andrew, and now he is dying. The police are looking for his murderer. Run for your life before they catch you." Canty jumped up at once. In a moment, the whole family were running like hunted animals. Animals which are being hunted or preyed by other animals. Canty held the prince's arm tightly. Canty held the prince's arm tightly. "If we are separated," he said to others, "meet me on London Bridge. And you, Tom, you are coming with me. If you say a word, I will knock your head off." Just then, they found themselves in a crowd of laughing, singing people. A line of bonfires turned all along the river, and people were dancing around them. Bonfires are setting the woods in this shape one over each other and set fire like this here. This was done there and people were singing. Their faces shone red and gold in the bright firelight. Fireworks burst in the sky like white gold flowers and stars. Angrily, Canty tried to push his way through the crowd, but a tall, strong man stopped him. He had been drinking and his face was hot and red. "The prince's boat will be here in a moment," he said. "He is on his way to a feast in the Guildhall. Here, friend, drink. Have some wine." Canty tried to refuse, but the big man pushed a heavy cup into his hand. "When I say drink, everybody drinks. Show some respect for your young prince. If you don't, I will throw you in the river and feed you to the fishes." Prince Edward saw his chance. He pulled his hand away from Canty's, ran like a frightened rabbit, and hid himself among the crowd. The prince's boat, he thought. He was happy, like the prince's boat. "So, Tom Canty has taken my place. He is an impostor." Impostor meaning is fraud, fake, fraud or fake. Impostor meaning is fraud or fake. Pretending to be me. "I must get to the Guildhall. When I catch that young pauper, I will kill him with my own hands." Prince was so angry about all that was happening to him because he thought that the boy Tom is doing it by his choice. The next, an impostor at the Guildhall. A long line of beautiful boats made their way along the shining river. Sweet music played and fireworks shone like jewels in the sky. Cheering crowds waved at the boy in the white silk coat. Tom Canty was sitting in a beautifully painted boat. He lifted his hand to wave to the crowd. The jewels in his rings shone like stars. Shone is the second form of shine. Shone like stars. The king's daughter, the Princess Elizabeth, sat beside him. She was a tall young lady with beautiful long red hair. Lady Jane Grey was there too. Both girls looked rather bored. They had been to many feasts before, and this one was not different from all the others, but for Tom it was like a wonderful, richly colored dream. "This isn't real. I am asleep in my straw at Fish Street, and I am dreaming," thought Tom Canty. "I will wake up in a moment, but not yet, I hope." At last they arrived at the Guildhall, the great hall in the centre of the city of London, where many important feasts were held. Servants helped Tom out of the boat. He walked very carefully along the beautiful red carpet which led up the steps of the Guildhall. Four servants helped open the door, held open the door. Four servants held open the door. Held is the second form of hold. Held open the tall doors as he entered the great hall. Then 1,000 lamps lit the Guildhall. They shone on the silver and gold dishes and the beautiful flowers on the tables. Tom went up 3 steps and sat down at the head of a very long dining table at the top of the room. Princess Elizabeth and Lady Jane Grey followed him. Suddenly, a boy ran towards him. He was dressed in rags, and there was blood on his dirty face. Pointing at Tom, he shouted, "Seize that boy! Seize, imprison, take that boy to the prison," he was ordering. "He isn't a real prince at all. He is an impostor, the faker, the pretender. And I am the true prince." Everyone heard him, but nobody moved. Then someone laughed and pointed at the prince. Suddenly, everyone else began to laugh. Hands reached out to seize him, to stop him. "Throw the beggar out!" shouted the captain of the guards. "Stop!" shouted a clear voice. A tall young man stepped forward and put his hand on Prince's shoulder. Prince's shoulder. "I don't know who you are, but you are a brave boy. I will be your friend. My name is Miles Hendon." Miles Hendon was tall and strong. His clothes were expensive but old. He wore a long sword at his side. War is the second form of wear he was wearing at that time. He wore a long sword at his side. Here is the sword. Now he pulled out his sword and waved it in the air. "Don't touch this boy," he shouted to the crowd. One of the soldiers moved towards him. Hendon stepped forward and swung his sword, swung in the air like this. The soldier stepped back quickly. Then Hendon picked up the prince in his arms and ran out of the hall. The servants and soldiers stared at him, looking in surprise. Stared means looking in surprise. But they were all too surprised to move. They were so shocked they don't moved. Long live the king. Tom watched them go, but before he could say or do anything, a messenger ran into the guild hall. "The king is dead," he shouted in a voice like thunder. The crowd fell to their knees. Every hand pointed towards Tom. A shout like thunder filled the hall. "Long live King!" Tom remembered Lord Norfolk. Tom remembered Lord Norfolk, who was in prison. He had never met him, but he felt sorry for him. He turned to Lord Hertford. "If I order something now," he said, "will they obey me?" "Follow my orders," he was asking, because he wasn't sure. "Of course, my lord," said Lord Hertford. "Everyone must obey your commands. You are the king. All England must obey you." Tom spoke loudly and clearly. "Get up, everyone, and listen to me. I am your king, and this is my first command. Lord Norfolk must not die. Go to the prison and tell the soldiers to let him go. Tell them the king has ordered it." The crowd cheered, started shouting happily, "Long live good King Edward!" They started shouting, "Long live good King Edward!" Now, what you people have to do is simply, as you do daily or have done with your previous lessons, I will mark a few words and show you the list of the words, and you simply have to find synonyms of the words and make single sentence for each of the word. These are the words for which you have to find synonyms and make sentences for each of the word. If any of the word by chance is repeated or you have done in previous lessons, simply rewrite it or do your homework completely. Meet you in the next meeting. Till then, take care of yourselves and Allah Hafiz.